Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Dying Light 2. Now as you guys know, I predicted that Dying Light 2 will be announced at E3 2018 and it actually happened. Techland did announce the game, they actually released the trailer and then they released the gameplay. So now we know how Dying Light 2 looks and trust me, it looks amazing. So if you haven't checked the full gameplay video, I'll leave a link for that in the description. Make sure you do check that thing out. So for you, if you have already checked it, and there are some key elements that I want to mention that you might have missed in the trailer, or I want to explain to you what exactly Dying Light 2 is about. So that's what I'm going to do in this video. So first thing we're going to start with will be the new gameplay mechanics. Now, so for people who are not aware of the fact that the Dying Light was created using the Chrome Engine 6, the very own engine that they used to create the game. So the Chrome Engine 6 was used in creation of Dying Light. But this Dying Light 2 has been made with the latest engine. It's called C engine and it's their latest and the best they have to offer. So Dying Light 2 will have a really awesome graphics. As you can see, these are the visuals you're going to be looking at. This whole thing is completely made in the C engine, so it looks amazing. And the new parkour moves have been added, so you know the key elements like the best parts of Dying Light, like all the best parkour modes and everything has been added in Dying Light 2 as well, but it's been improved and the more variety has been added in the parkour skills. So it's really cool to see all of this stuff. Plus there's actually natural animations. You can see there's a lot of points where you see this natural animation, and in Dying Light it was kind of a little bit buggy. This feels like a natural movement in Dying Light 2, which is amazing stuff. Now we also have the new melee combat. You can see when the main character starts fighting the survivor, you can see the whole mechanics for the melee weapon. I think it's based on the melee. I think we actually talked about this yesterday as well. There is no mention of the guns. We haven't seen anybody using any firearms, so we're thinking it's going to be a melee combat only. So the melee combat is the main focus here, and it looks amazing, to be honest with you. Depending on, you're going to be fighting the humans who will have different skills and different movement all the time, so it's going to be really cool to see how that goes. Now if you've seen the gameplay, you might have already seen the binoculars at the beginning itself. As soon as the main character goes up, he just completely takes out his binoculars and kind of zooms at a distance, and that tells me that this time the game is huge. First of all, it's huge and there's a big improvement. So in Dying Light, you were not able to look that far because, you know, the game had some issues. If you try to look that far, most of the assets, or I should say most of the models, zombies in the game, they used to disappear at that distance. You can't see it. The view distance was pretty low. But in this, the view distance has been increased, which means if they are adding sniper rifle, so let's say gun, adding a scope in that would be really cool, and it will definitely work. They will never have an issue in adding snipers in Dying Light 2. I don't think so they will have any issue, because it was an issue in Dying Light. Doesn't really seems like an issue in Dying Light 2. So that's gonna be a really cool thing to see if they really add a sniper rifle in the game or not. So now we're done with the game mechanics. These are the game mechanics, but we also have a new survival mechanism where you will have to increase your morale. Now, I don't know how that's gonna work, but if you kind of become a good guy, right? Helping people out, helping the protagonist, if I'm pronouncing it right, those people, the peacemakers, if you try to help them, right, your morale will increase. So that's gonna be a good thing, and you would need that. I think the high morale, the better morale, it's gonna be like a respect, I think. So, you know, the better morale you have, I think it's gonna be good for your character, and I think it's gonna level up as well. Now we also have weapons and modification. Now if you've already seen the weapons and modification, you might have seen the weapon. It looks realistic, like it looks like somebody really made it by himself. It's like DIY, you know, like you pick up a stick and you pick up a blade and kind of like bind both of them together with the wires, and it's done. There's your machete. Like that is so cool. And I think, you know, if they add a mechanism like that in the game where you have to go out and like let's say pick some woods or sticks and then look for a blade and look for some wires, and you will be able to create a machete. That will be a cool thing. I'm not sure if that will happen, but it kind of looks like that it will happen. But you know, we have to see for more gameplay on Tuesday. God. Now the next thing we have here is a black market trader. So you all know you have to either help the peacemakers or you go against them. So now let's give an example of the water. Water is an essential thing in this whole game. So you have the water, you got access to water, but you decide to give that water in the black market. So you're selling it for your profit. So selling it in the black market could be a, you know, it can give you a negative morale, plus it's going to call a lot of bad people, so a lot of bad people will be attracted due to that. But in black market you will have a lot of traders, so those people can actually come to trade with you, so you can probably buy weapons from them or trade for something. So that looks like a cool thing, that you will go to black market to buy an item, maybe for like, I don't know, maybe for cheap price or expensive price. I'm not sure about that, but it will be cool to see the best weapons show up in the black market. The new modifications and weapons. Now there will be a large number of weapons in the game. You can tell by that, like they have mentioned in their video, that you can actually pick anything from the ground and use it as a weapon. So that is really cool. Let's see how that thing turns out. And I think modification will be really cool. You know, adding any, like as I said before, stick, blade, adding all those stuff together is like a modification thing, right? So if you add a battery, it just becomes electricity stuff. I don't know how that thing is going to work, but we'll see. Modification will be a cool thing, you know, adding a blueprint, fire effect, just like Dying Light. I think that's still going to be there, and we'll have to see how that thing goes. Now it comes to the main point of the game. The main important thing they're focusing on here is the moment of choice. So every time you have a conversation with a survivor or a peacemaker, you have a moment of choice, meaning you can choose either to help him, not help him, or just walk away. You know, there's like 3 options there. You can be rude to him. You maybe want to say, okay, I'm gonna help you, or just gonna walk away. That's gonna be rude, but yeah, you have all those options. And depending on what decision you take, the whole, like I just say, there will be a lot of consequences. So if you help the peacemakers, everyone is gonna have access to the water, so you know, the morale will increase, everyone will be happy, and it will be good. But if you decide for some reason, if you want to make a lot of money in the game, you decide not to help the peacemakers and sell that thing in the black market, your morale goes down, and yep, you will face a lot of problem for that, a lot of consequences. So this is a good thing, because you know, depending on your choices, your experience and the ending of the game can be changed. So everyone is gonna have different experiences in the game, which is cool. And remember one thing, going against the protagonists or the peacekeepers can actually cause you a problem. So if you go against them, they're gonna be your enemy, and you don't want that. As you can see in this video, they start fighting with you, they got shield and everything. Maybe we'll find shield in the game as well, but hey, you don't want to go and against those people if you don't want to fight them. Now let's look at the final thing here, is the environment, like the whole place, the whole scenario you see here. This whole place, when I first looked at it, I was like, it looks like Old Town, because you know, it kind of reminded me of a lot of buildings did look like Old Town. But then I was like, okay, it's the same developers, right? It's the part 2 of Dying Light, so maybe the same assets, maybe the same model has been used. But we have a theory here. That, you know, if you watch the trailer at the beginning, it said 15 years of the apocalypse have been passed, meaning this game is based on 15 years after the apocalypse. So I don't know what's the apocalypse here. Maybe it's the explosion thing that I mentioned in one of my streams yesterday, that it could be the following ending, what happened after that. So it kind of makes a lot of changes in the game, because it could be Carl Crane as the main character, it maybe not the Carl Crane, it's somebody else as the main character. But yeah, the game is based on 15 years after the apocalypse, and maybe this is kind of like the whole, maybe the base has been built, it is the Old Town, but it's developed in the 15 years. I mean, 15 years, man, a lot of things can be changed, right? So maybe 15 years and developed Old Town, I think it's possible. Now one thing to mention, there is no electricity, so I think you will have to go around and kind of get electricity, just like in the following. You started with no electricity, you were depending on the windmills. So I guess in this game you have a lot of windmills, you have a lot of solar panels, so you're going to be depending on them for a while. Later on, maybe in the story, you get access to the electricity somehow, and you will be able to get electricity. That will be cool to see how that thing goes. As I mentioned, maybe electricity could be later on, but at the beginning you're just going to be looking at the windmill and the solar panels. Now the next time is the nighttime will zombies show up. So there's a really big confusion in the community why there is no zombies in the story. Well, if you watch the gameplay, there were zombies at the beginning. If you watch the trailer, there were zombies at the ending, as well as in the gameplay. They mentioned that the zombies will show up during the nighttime. Well, that doesn't mean they won't show up in the day. I mean, we have to see what happens, but mostly we see here is they are mostly focusing on you fighting the survivors and dealing with all the deals and everything during the daytime. And in the nighttime, you're going to be fighting the zombies. So, nighttime for zombies, daytime for humans. This is how this Dying Light 2 mechanism works here. So, Hope this is clear, and it's gonna be really cool to see how that thing goes. But if you watch the video, you might have seen the zombies during the daytime, so it's possible. You know, zombies can be there in the daytime. It's just they're not gonna be that much in the number. Plus, they're gonna be inside the apartments, as I see, because it's pretty dark inside the apartments, not outside. Outside is pretty bright, so I think the zombies don't want to go out. And there's UV light in the game, so I think the UV light mechanism will be back. Not sure if they will be a night hunter in the game, because for the PvP, I think they are working on the Bad Blood to be the multiplayer mode for Dying Light 2. So we'll see how that thing goes, and hope you guys enjoyed this video, found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.